trains, I'm right back to work when that break ends.
How hard I'm trying to. I know you all to myself. You're my different, I can't choose. Untouchable, 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 untouchable. Can't keep my hands to myself. Untouchable, 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 untouchable.
Everybody was. Everybody. Everybody. Everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. We've got Melissa from RunHeiferRun.com on the air with us. We're playing with a little system. They changed up my programming, and I'm like, what is that? I'm trying to figure out things as we're going along. But hi, Melissa. How are you doing?
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. You didn't need to speed in traffic, did you?
I did speed a little bit just to get back to my office, but it all worked out.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, so we would like to say, hey, Charlie Rainbow Wolf. She's taking a tea break from hammering the keys, and she's listening. So, Charlie, getting a little tea break in. I love it.
Good morning, Charlie. Yeah, good morning, everybody. I'm excited to be here and talk to you.
So, of course, you've been traveling the world all the way up to Buffalo, New York. How was the marathon?
You know what? It was truly, truly one of the best experiences I have had. And if somebody has not run Buffalo, man, oh man, I learned after being there, it's called the City of Good Neighbors. Boy, you know, it is so true. What an incredible group of people. The marathon itself was put on, the race directors, just fantastic, and everything, every little detail was covered. And wow, just a great weekend from start to finish. I'm still on a high from it. Just so much fun.
Now, were you a little bit nervous, obviously, going behind Bart? Were you like, oh, my goodness, I can't believe I'm about to speak in the same stage this young man was just on?
I love Bart. I call him my buddy Bart now. I was a little nervous leading up to it, but honestly, once you meet him, he's just the nicest guy ever. Just the most kind and humble, and just doing what he does. And once I met him, it was okay. And we had such a nice time. There were so many amazing, supportive people, and he was very encouraging as well. He stayed to listen to me talk too, which was big honor for me actually. So. And I don't even think he fell asleep actually. So it was really cool. It was just the entire weekend was just so amazing. They just put on such a classy, just a top-notch event from the parties beforehand to the after party. Every detail is just taken care of, and boy, they treat their runners great up there.
It's amazing. Of course, today's show I had to bring up the sponsors. Of course, Williams Racing Academy. They're over in Europe right now. The boys just all got together and they're racing over in Belgium. I believe their first race of the season is today. A bunch of bike racing crazies. WilliamsRacingAcademy.com. They're out of Texas. Actually, the coach is out of Texas, but he coaches guys from, like myself, ultramarathoners to Tour de France racers, that kind of thing. And so they're over there having a good time in Europe this summer, getting ready for the tour and all that. That's WilliamsRacingAcademy.com. And, of course, today's also brought to you by RunHeiferRun.com. How about that? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, bunch of heifers.
Bunch of heifers. Run, you heifer. So, obviously, you got the invite to come out to Buffalo. Obviously, you met up with some great friends. I saw the photos, and it looks like you had a great time. There was a little bit of run in the party, I will say. How was the run itself? Was it logistically? It was cool. I mean, the expo was really good. I mean, how was that up there in Buffalo?
So, I didn't know what to expect, having obviously never raced Buffalo before. The expo was huge. I want to say it was in the Civic Center. It was one of the big downtown centers. And the expo, so many vendors. It was one of the larger expos I've seen, just so many different vendors. And there were people getting massages, everything you would expect to see there. So literally from the beginning, there was an event Friday night for some of the the speakers and the race directors and things like that. And that was incredible. It took place in the hotel I was staying at. And so we got to go, and that's actually where I met my buddy Bart, and I had a really good time. I posted a race review that's pretty funny, so you can link that later if you'd like to, but people tend to, they told me they enjoyed it. So, so and that details everything pretty well. And, the Friday party was fun. We all hung out afterwards, went over to a local restaurant, got something a little bit to eat and drink, and just got to talk with everybody. Fitz, who was the race announcer too, she was fantastic, just a real fitness pro, and it was just the energy in Buffalo for this weekend was incredible. When you get to the hotel, there's signs everywhere, welcome runners, welcome to the Buffalo. I mean, everything was just top notch. The race itself, logistically speaking, it started very close to my hotel, so I was able to walk out and get right to the start line, no problem. It was a rolling start. There were no corrals, and just so many people, and it actually was freezing cold for me living in Phoenix. 50 degrees is Arctic. It's subarctic. Right. So I had my wool socks and my jacket on, and everybody else is in tank top and shorts. But and the route itself is beautiful. You go through some of the older streets in the neighborhood, so you've got these super old homes that are very well taken care of, and everything is perfectly manicured, their front yard, and living in Arizona, we don't see those brick homes anymore. We don't have these big oak trees and everything. So for me, it was just eye candy after eye candy. Every street was better than the next, and you run along Lake Erie for part of it, so you can see Canada while you're running, and that was really and it's gorgeous, just beautiful. The water was blue, and actually that was the only sunny day of the weekend, so it was just a real treat to be there and see it all. And the people, I just keep going back to the people, from the race directors on down to the volunteers. There were so many volunteers, and they were everything was just perfect. There was nutrition on the course, just like you'd expect, water stops everywhere, and it was just so great. And the after party was unlike anything I have ever seen. The entire upstairs, I think, where the expo was transformed into a big party room, and I mean, beer for miles, and pizza, and cookies, and bananas, and Cliff Bars, and everything you could ever want or imagine you would need after a race was right there, and people just sitting at big tables, congratulating each other, and it just, there was music, and just the camaraderie, and just the vibe in the air was just, I was as close to a perfect race as I could ever imagine.
Now, when you got home, you got back on that plane to go home. Did you get PED, as we call it, post-event depression? Because you look forward to these events. I mean, and we get it every weekend. We look forward to these events, and then after the event, we're like, oh man, how can we?
Like what's next?
Yeah, well, how can we upscale that one, or how can we beat that one? Because the events are so amazing. As you were talking about Buffalo Marathon, folks, if you haven't done it, put it on your list to do. But it's one of those. Okay, what's next? What's going to be next?
It's definitely like that. I had a connecting flight through Midway, and so my entire airplane, actually, I'd say a good 2/3 of them were runners. They were all kind of hobbling on, and some of them were wearing their shirts, some of them were wearing their medals, which I thought was fun. So a lot of the airplane had just run the race, and I was really shocked at how many people come from out of town to run Buffalo. I didn't realize, and so that was a lot of fun, the flight to Chicago. And then, a little bit of post-event letdown. You're like, oh, well, what's next? So, of course, I came home and registration opened the very next day for next year. I'm like, I'm doing it. So I signed up for next year already. It's of all the races I've done, I mean, this was the one that was just, not just getting to meet Bart, which was, a lifetime highlight for sure, but just getting to meet all the different people and experiencing Buffalo. The one thing I will say about Buffalo is that when I was there, they did not yet have Uber, and this was just a couple weeks ago. They're getting Uber and Lyft, I think, in a couple weeks, and that made it a little bit difficult to get around. But beyond that, what a city! I mean, it's on the upswing. Things are improving there, and everybody's revitalizing, and I just loved it, every bit of it.
Taking pride in their town.
Yeah, and it's great. And the people, I mean, they would literally give you the shirt off their back. I mean, just the kindest people. And evidently, Buffalo is a city where you eat a lot. Because when I said on Facebook, hey, I'm going to Buffalo, 43,000 people. You eat here, get the wings, do this. Like, I guess because their winters are 12 months long, all you have to do is eat there. But, man, they got some good food up there, too.
All right, we got to put it on the schedule, everybody. Go to Buffalo for the marathon next year. So, obviously, people don't know who you are. RunHeiferRun.com. If people want to, and we always talk about, thanks for calling me fat. They can go on there on your blog, and they can read about stuff and everything. You wrote a great post-race about Buffalo in detail and everything. So, there are so many new heifers out there. How did it get so big? I mean, how's it gotten so noticed so quickly?
I don't know. I think word of mouth is definitely helping us. We have the Facebook group. We have about 650 people now, and the best part is that we're very active on that Facebook group. So people, it's not just a group. It's not. We do have a page, but we have a group where people go and they share more personal things, and we encourage each other. And this morning, one of the wonderful heifers in that group said, today got off to a really bad start, and we all let in on it. We're like, you know what? Don't be a victim of your own head. Today is recoverable. You're going to do this. We say like #NoBull. We are all about calling it what it is. Get off your butt, go exercise. It will always make you feel better. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, do something different. Go do core, cardio, wall sits. It doesn't matter. Do something. And so I think that philosophy is really catching on with people. And because we don't do excuses, we don't do victims. We do we do action, and we're all about improving each other and bringing the collective level up. And I think that that's really catching on. After speaking at Buffalo, we had about 100 new heifers join, which was incredible. We're wondering, like, where did some people saw us out on the race course in all of our shirts. Some people met us at the start line, and some people just said, my friend told me about this. I'm curious, what is this? What is the deal? And most of the time people stick around, people who are ready to make a change and people who are ready to confront what's going on in their own lives and say, yeah, you know what? I'm ready to make a change for the better. How do I do it? And we've got running coaches. We've got resources. I don't know if you've heard of Chi Running, but they just joined Run Heifer Run, some of the Chi Running folks, and they're injury-free running. I mean, so it's just a marriage made in heaven. So lots of really key people are buying into the philosophy that, look, no bull, let's just get together, let's encourage each other, and, stay positive. There's no shame. Let's just connect with each other and everybody share their success.
Yeah, I'm just so proud of you. I mean, because, my story, and there's several folks that know my story, but it's like, if once you've been heavy, you never in your mind, in your dreams, fathom that you can get healthy again. And I'm not saying that overweight people are not healthy, but you start getting diabetes. And I mean, everybody knows it's a fact. You start having heart problems. You start having breathing problems. There's other issues that come along with weight. Once you start losing that weight, and you get, and like my instance, you can bend over and tie your shoe without getting out of breath. You're like, oh man, that was cool, you know?
Yeah.
And people, and I have this question for you, and there's people out there as well that I like to see their input on it. But do you see people treating you differently, like when you go shopping or you're out at the mall or you're at a race or anything? Do you see people treating you differently than when you were heavy at your heaviest point?
You know what? People definitely treat me differently. They absolutely, they are, you know, it's interesting. This country tends to shun overweight people for whatever reason. It's not right. It's not wrong. It just, it's just how we treat people. It's just reality. And so you're oftentimes, if you are obese or especially morbidly obese, you are treated as lesser than. And, you know, it's very humbling to have been in both situations, to have been overweight and now to be more healthy, where people do treat you differently. They perk up when they look at you. They don't look at you with contempt. They don't look at you and assume that you're low income, lazy, slovenly, uneducated. They don't look at you like that. And you very well could be. There's lots of skinny people that are all of those things, but it's the way we're brought up. You know, we shun overweight people, unfortunately, and there's definitely been a shift in terms of how people treat me. I notice it everywhere, from the gas station to just everywhere in everyday life, at restaurants, just no matter what, airplanes, people, when you're overweight, and we fly Southwest Airlines a lot, best airline ever. And so, but, it's open seating. And so when you're a very overweight person, people look, they won't want to make eye contact, like, oh, please don't let that fat guy sit next to me. I'll be smushed up in here. And I don't get that anymore. So there's so many different ways that you do notice the way people treat you differently. And, again, it's not good or bad, but, I will say, being on this end of the spectrum now, you do tend to get a lot more positive treatment, whether you're shopping in the store. It's just the looks that people give you. Now, I'd like to think I don't get any looks, but whereas before, I think I definitely got a lot of looks. People would judge, what is she ordering? What is she eating? Why is she doing this? Why is she doing that? Look at how fat she is. And now I don't get that. So yeah, it's not right, but it does happen. I think we would be foolish to deny it. But we were all here to encourage each other, really, so that we can be healthy. And health isn't a number on a scale either, because there's many Athena athletes, as you know, in Clydesdales, that are extremely healthy, that are just, a little bit heavier than what you would call the average. But my God, these people are super healthy, and good for them,
Yeah, and we've had the super healthy. I mean, we've had military veterans that have passed away at recent marathons. That were fit, I will say, like it's 6 packs, or, the model. Yeah. Oh, this is what you should look like when you're a runner. But I'm no model for running, I will say. I'm not saying I'm a model runner, but I run ugly, as I like to say, because you wouldn't think that I'd be moving forward as how bad I look when I run, but I go for a long time. And it's just one of those things, like, everybody's body is different, but we're, like you say, we're here to encourage each other. Run Heifer Run, great program, folks. If you haven't been there, go to runheiferrun.com. But like Stephanie was saying, that's true. She's struggling with her weight as well, but she's working at it. And a lot of times when we were young, or even probably even now, moms are telling their kids, oh, eyes, and beauty's in the eye of the beholder, beauty's inside, that kind of thing. When it truly is, because if you're a beautiful person inside, it doesn't matter what people see you on the outside.
Absolutely. And you know what, that's so true. And it's unfortunate, because there's a real prejudice against overweight people. And I think it even goes beyond this country. I think it very well could be worldwide, and you're just assumed to be lesser than for whatever reason. And I don't think that's fair. But it does happen. And there are so many people out there who have a couple extra pounds on them that are very healthy. And like you said, I mean, there's very fit people who drop dead of heart attacks, God forbid. At every race you hear a story. Ironmen. They're going through the swim and have a cardiac event in the water. So none of us is immune, but we can all do what we can to be our best version of ourselves, and to be the best healthy person that we can be. And we owe that to ourselves. We owe that to our spouses, our family. We need to be good examples. You've got kids too, so you know how that is. You you want to be a good example. You want to walk the walk. What you tell your kids, you have to eat vegetables while I eat these Pop-Tarts. Well, no, we got to do what we tell them too.
Oh, that's the other way around. My kids are like, I'm eating Pop-Tarts. I'm like, no. Let's get some greens. Oh, but there's green in a Pop-Tart. No. You throwing a piece of lettuce. Yeah, throwing a piece of lettuce on top of a Pop-Tart isn't calling it natural. But it's just one of the things. Like, we have races this weekend. Obviously, it's Father's Day, so happy Father's Day on behalf of Run Heifer Run, and I speak for you. But of course, there are single mothers out there that are doing the daddy work, and happy Mother's Day to you again, I would call it. But a lot of folks are like, how? Because like myself, I'm retired, but I still have a lot to do during the day. The kids, it's a full-time job, and then I still have to get ready for my 100-mile run that's coming up in a few short months, and it's like people are asking, where do you find the time? Whereas you get up before the break of dawn, and other folks work out in the evenings. But so in San Antonio this weekend, it's going to be over 100 degrees for the first time this year, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. So people are like, oh man, I don't want to get up and go run. I don't want to go, do anything but probably lay by the pool or stay inside or go shopping or whatever. But how do you, being the Queen Heifer, how do you recommend to people, or what do you recommend to people? Because you are in a hot environment. How do you get your workouts in when it's going to be so hot?
Yeah, well, and as a matter of fact, next week we're going up to 120 here, and I believe my oven has a setting of 120 also. So it's a dry heat. It's definitely an issue. You have to prepare for it. Your body takes about 2 to 3 weeks to really acclimate to running in the heat, and we don't have humidity here, but it's a little rough for that too. So what I do is I wake up, as you know, before dawn. Tuesday we were out running by about 4:30 in the morning, and that's the coolest hour of the day that we've got before the sun comes up. So we're doing what we can when we can, and if people, nobody likes the treadmill, we call it the dreadmill. Yes. But if you have to run on it to get your run in, if you have to do that, get up and do it. If you have to go to the gym and do the elliptical or the rowing machine, if you have to do it, you know what? It all comes down to, what do you want the most? Do you want to complain that it's too hot to work out, or do you want to meet your goals? And the pain of getting there is okay, because you still have to get there. What do you want the most is what it boils down to. So I wake up before the crack of dawn, because that's the only time of day that I can do it. Even at night, after the sun goes down, we still have lingering heat in the triple digits. So for me, I don't like to run. I try to avoid running in triple digits if I can. So for me, it's at 4 a.m. and that's okay. You just make allowances. I mean, I get a lot of flack at home. I go to bed early, but you know what? I have to do it for my own health. And there are days when I go to the gym and I cross train, and thank God it's air conditioned. And I enjoy those days immensely. But, if you're running in the heat, find a different time of day to do it. People say, I don't have time. Well, I'm going to challenge you and say, you do have time. You have different priorities. Instead of saying, I don't have time, say to yourself, it's not that important, and see how that feels. And then all of a sudden you'll know, you know what? No, it is that important. Let me make the time for it. And if you have to, get inside, go on a treadmill. There are worse things, barely, but there are,
Yeah, like you had said on a previous show that, you do wall squats while you're waiting for the peas to cook, or, waiting for the broccoli to cook. Do a wall squat, or do like what we do is do planks during commercials on TVs if we're even watching the TV. Or if like you said, like we're cooking, we're like, okay, we're going to do a plank until the timer goes off that the oven's warmed up, that kind of thing. But I've seen people, and a friend of mine had actually done this, took his treadmill to his office, took the top part of it off, put the controller next to his laptop on a desk he basically made over the treadmill, and he walks on the treadmill while he is working on his computer. He's got the control panel right there, so he can speed up the speed or put a hill on it. So, he's like, a lot of times I'm working 60 hours a day. I don't have time to go work out at the gym or go run or any of that stuff. But I know I'm doing my cardio because I'm walking 10 to 15 miles a day, because when I'm on the computer, I'm walking. He's not even comprehending that he's actually working out while he's working.
You know what? I think that's a great idea, actually. I really like that. you have to do exactly. You have to do what you can when you can. And so if that's what you have to do to get it in, by all means do it. These people training for Ironman, they're we call it a pain cave. They're down in their pain cave at 3 a.m. for a long ride.
Right.
You know how that goes because you have to get it in. And
Yeah.
sometimes training for these events is like a full-time job. I saw this morning a meme that said it was for some triathlon or some ultra race or something. If you're still married, you didn't train hard enough. It's one of these things where it's a full-time job, and you have to make priorities, and you have to cut out what's not important, and you reprioritize. But your health should be right up in those top 5, at least in the top 2, right? Because if you're not healthy, you can't have relationships, you can't do all those things you want to do with your life because you're going to be stuck, on oxygen or getting a knee replacement, a hip replacement. There's so many things that good health allows us to do. It's the most important thing, and you can't buy it. No matter how much money you have, you can't buy it. And
Right.
running is free, except the shoes.
So what's coming up this weekend for Run Heifer Run?
So, this weekend is I'm going to be doing more training runs, but actually I've got the Peachtree 10K coming up on July 4th with 60,000 of my best friends. That's going to be fun. I actually participate. I think we've talked about this. I do that I Run for Michael program where you run with for a little buddy. You get matched up. And the little boy that I run for, Matthew, he lives in North Carolina. His family is actually flying down, and I'm going to get to push him for 10K. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do the race together, and he'll probably enjoy it a little bit more than me. It's going to be hot. Yeah, it's going to be hot.
I was about to say it's very, very, very hot and humid for Peachtree.
Yes.
It's in July 4th, folks, in Atlanta. If people don't know.
Yeah.
What you're thinking? Oh, July, it's hot. Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking.
And you put 30,000 plus runners together in close proximity. Yeah, it's a little warm, but yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those races. If you've never done, you've got to do Peachtree. It's a staple event of running. I mean, I remember running it in the 80s. That's how long ago. So but yeah, it's just one of those great runs. So you've got that coming up. But do you have any heifers that are doing something significant that's coming up?
Let's see. Well, we've got heifers running Peachtree. We have a huge group and we teamed up with Scott over at Ordinary Marathoner.
Nice.
We teamed up together to do Ordinary Heifers here in Phoenix. So I'm an ambassador for the Phoenix Marathon coming up in February. And so we teamed up and we're doing Ordinary Heifers because that way we can include everybody from his group, from my group. And we have people flying in from all over the world to run together as a group, and that is going to be absolutely amazing. So we're hyping that up a little bit, and then so many. Gosh, I think I've got 15 people so far that are flying in from other places to do it, and a bunch of local heifers too. And we're looking at it locally here, Phoenix. The summer is not the best time for racing,
right.
But looking into some fall things here as well. And I've got Laughlin coming up. That's in December, so that's going to be a while. But I'm speaking at their marathon also, so that's going to be fun. So lots of stuff in the works, just amazing opportunities and more opportunities for people to connect. And the best part about Buffalo was that we had this big group of people, and some of them didn't know each other, and now they've formed these relationships, and they can go and they can do things together and say, hey, where's my heifers today, and give each other some support and encouragement, and get some local support, which is really important also.
I love it. Of course, like you say, the fall is coming up. There's, you got marathons galore that's going to be that's on the schedule. A lot of folks have circled and highlighted and said, hey, I'm going to do that one, or maybe the marathon or half marathon, whatever their goal may be. Maybe a 10K they want to finish this year. So, of course, Run Heifer Run is ready to support y'all. Like I said, it's such a great organization. There are no discriminatory remarks. It's all about being one and helping each other get not only to the finish line, but get you to the start line. Because there's a lot of folks that are like, ooh, I'm kind of antsy. What do I do with my number? Can I run while I drink? That kind of thing. And that's where a lot of questions come up. And like you asked today, what do you like most about yourself? Which is a really tough question to ask. And people will be like, well, I like my legs. Oh, I like my hair. That kind of thing. But like Pam put, my brain, because the brain is the most dangerous weapon in the world, by the way. So, but now there's some great answers that people are putting.
Well, yeah, Pam is so, her brain does scare me. I know I said that to her online, but yeah, she's one of the really smart people, and she's witty too. So, She's fun. And, you know, what we ask these questions. You see them every day. You know, Charlie's actually our chief question officer, and she sends me these questions. But they're very insightful questions, and they really cause people to pause and look into themselves. And so oftentimes what we're trying to do is get people to look inside and say, you know, because so many people are like, oh, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm lazy, blah, blah. No, you're not. There's so many good things about each and every person. You are not a sum of what your outside looks like. You're a part of that, but that's not who you are as a person. And so we're getting people to look inside and say, you know, hey, what do you love the most about yourself? And some anything about myself. And, you know, it's like, oh man, that was Andy Carpenter. Love you, Andy. And, you know, but she did find some things, and, you know, it's amazing. So we're able to encourage people just by asking questions that they can be introspective about. And you watch this, you just watch this transformation happen from the inside out, and all of a sudden these people are blossoming, and it's not just them, it's me too, it's all of us, and together we collectively positive force. You know, we make a small little wave in the ocean, but it has a huge effect on other people, because other people will pick up on that. They'll pick up on that attitude, they'll pick up on those good vibes, if you will. And all of a sudden they feel better about themselves. And if we can collectively become a more positive society, a healthier society, we all benefit, you know, we all do.
So true. So true.
I mean, yeah, it's just, you know, and I want to talk to you about your big 100-mile race. That's really, how's that going?
It's going. I don't know how it's going for me, but no, it's going. I mean, it's one of those things like this week, Shelby, our youngest, has a 2-hour camp. So when I drop her off, I literally just put on my hydration pack and go for 2 hours, which today was like, I got in about 12 and a half miles, and I was like, okay, I'm done. And then tomorrow I'm looking forward to it already, going, oh, another 12 and a half miles. So it'll be good. So I think this week overall, I'll probably get 70 miles in for the week.
Amazing.
And I'm sitting here going, wow, 70 miles for the week. Oh, wait, I'm going to do that in one day. Oh, my God. You know? But it's just one of those things that on my wall I have the date, November 18th, 19th, 108 miles focus, because it's easy for me because I'll look at my backyard, or I'll look at my Pinterest projects that I want to do, or like the kids want to go swimming or something. They want to go, you know, go outside to the pool. And I'm like, oh, man, I gotta run, or I gotta do planks, or I gotta do this, you know, because I know that November is going to come up very quick, and I'll be like, I'm not ready. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, yeah. And now, how far do you actually train to? Because you don't train to 100 miles, right? You don't.
No,
actually.
I'll get in probably a couple. I'll probably get in a couple 50 to 60 milers. Just to get my legs used to being out there for that kind of long. And then I think one of them, like there's a road here. It's called 1604 here in San Antonio, and it goes the circumference of the city. And I know they do a bike ride on it every year, and I'm like, I want to run that. But it's a real dangerous road. There's not a lot of access roads to it in certain points. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And then I was looking at another training route that I was going to use, and then a buddy of mine was like, man, there are people who drive crazy on that road too. But it's got a wide shoulder. And I was like, I'm going to think about it. So then a good friend of mine, Andrew Willis, and one of his friends, Lance Armstrong, who I'm sure everybody knows, just put on a 108-mile bike ride a couple weeks ago with 560 people. So I contacted Andrew. I was like, hey, I like that route. And he goes, I'm going to send it to you. So he sent it to me. He called me. We had a big conference call with all of us. And I was like, I think I'm going to use that for my route. And he goes, well, do it. He goes, when you're out there training, let me know you're out there. He goes, and I'll roll over and ride with you. And of course, the other person, I won't mention his name, was like, yeah, I want to do that too. I'll ride with you and hand up water. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm little old me. And here I've got one guy who's raced Ram, Race Across America, which is going on right now, but he's not doing it this year. He's raced Ram. He's a national champion cyclist himself, been the worlds, all that stuff. And the other guy's won Tour de France 7 times. And they're going to ride next to little old me while I go out there and hurt myself on this run. And I'm just like,
you gotta give him a heifer.
Yeah,
you gotta give him a heifer bell.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm like, oh, this is gonna be interesting. So, but it's one of those, like, someone had asked me, oh, well, what medal do you get? Do you get a belt buckle? Do you get a medal? Do you get a T-shirt? And I'm like, no. And they're like, no. And I'm like, no, I'm running this 108 miles for me. That I can do 108 miles or a 100-mile run. just for me. I said, I did a 50K before I did an official 50K because I wanted to do one to say, hey, I can run 32 miles, and I did. And, so it's more of a mental thing with me. I'm like an old soul runner. I mean, I'll run with a watch. I just go out and run. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
But I calculate my routes and my routes that I know, like how many miles to the turnaround is going to be and that kind of thing. And then I'll go run them. And if I have to walk, I walk. I mean, I walk hills. I'm not going to deny it. And I know a lot of ultra marathoners that I've run with in the past at ultras, and they're like, walk hills. It saves your knees. And I never thought about that. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's true because you're putting so much pressure on your knees while you're running.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I didn't think about that.
And you know what, though, and you're still going to cover. Here's what I say. There's two different schools of thought. I'm sure you've seen these people that say, well, if you don't run the whole thing, you're not a real runner. I ran into that last week in a conversation with somebody, and I thought, you know what? 100 miles is 100 miles. Whether you walk, crawl, skip, play hopscotch or cartwheel your way in, you still went 100 miles. So if you have to walk up a hill, there is zero shame in walking, and I subscribe to the Jeff Galloway training method anyway. So I do run walk, and I've taken a lot of flack from people. Yeah, but you didn't really run it. Yeah, I went the distance, so no, I didn't run the whole thing because, my knees hurt, everything hurts, and I'm dying, but you still went the distance, and I just say, wow, 100 miles, no matter how you get there, it's amazing. I mean, it's absolutely just incredible,
Yeah, it's like this morning, it's already hot, obviously, and humid here in San Antonio, and I was going out to run, and this lady was walking in, and she was like, "Are you going to run?" I go, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, you're crazy." And I'm like, "No, no, I'm not." And then the guy I was running with, who's running with me on some of the 100, he's a physician here, so he monitors heart rate. I mean, he's really keen on what my body is doing, my weight, all that stuff. He's really in tune with it. So he's like, well, if you're going to wait for the perfect weather at a race, you're going to wait for a long time. So you might as well get out in it because you don't know. Yeah. I mean, race day, it could be hot and humid. You're like, oh, I've done that already, But like I said, he's always monitoring our heart rates and all that. And he knows, okay, Mark, this is where your heart rate's supposed to be. If I get over it, then he's like, okay, you need to let's cool down a little bit and just relax, So I'm glad that he's out there with me.
Yeah, and it's great to have friends to run with. I am not one of these people to run alone. I just don't enjoy it. I say I only have three jokes that I know all the punchlines. So I live for running with friends, and they have to listen to me whine and complain. But it makes it go by so much more quickly, and it just makes it so much more enjoyable. I ran this morning with my friend Tiffany, and we laughed the whole way. We only did a 5K, but we laughed the whole way. We stopped. We took pictures of ducks. We just had a good time because like you, we're not in it. Although I do like the medals and the bling, but we're in it for the health benefit to ourselves. So we just really just enjoy being out there, being active, and just enjoying each other, enjoying the first sunlight of the day, and it's a quiet hour, and it's so great, and having people out there to enjoy it with you is just the best.
I know it's just one of those things, and like you said, you get the support group, and they become family. I would say friends, but obviously, like you said, you have running partners that know things about you that you're like, ooh, I wouldn't tell that to my husband. You know what I mean? Or I wouldn't tell that to my kids, and then they know all of it, and that's how I'll say 9 times out of 10, I'm running by myself because I've always done that since the 70s. But when my friend who's a doctor was like, hey, I want to monitor everything and find out physiology, how's it working? I'm like, okay, it sounds good to me. Because my heart rate, when I started back in December, just resting was like at 84. I mean, I had higher heart rate. Yeah, blood pressure was crazy and all this. And now my heart rate resting is 47. So he's like,
wow.
Yeah, so he's like, oh, my goodness, that's really low. But he knows, okay, yeah, because you're dropping the weight. You're obviously your body's changing a lot. I remember when I was an elite athlete and I raced bicycles, I went in for a physical with the Navy, and my heart rate was 38 resting. So they literally got me. Yeah, they got me up, and he was like, something's wrong with our machine. He like took the EKG stuff off and plugged it back in. He goes, no, it still says 38. He goes, you need to do some jumping jacks or something. And I did, and got up to 45. He goes, okay, we can work with that. And he was like, good God. He goes, I've never had anybody that low. And then obviously one of the doctors like, oh yeah, he races. That's all he does. He rides everywhere. So
incredible.
Charlie's online right now saying, hey, shout out. Of course, we've already talked about Charlie, but of course to Tiffany. Shout out to Tiffany, who is one of our great heifers as well.
Yeah, she and Kelly too. I run most of the time with Tiffany and Kelly, and these girls are great. And we have a heifer up in Portland, Royanne. She comes down from time to time, a couple months out of the year. She has a home here, and we run together. And the three of these ladies, they are incredible. Not just athletes, but Kelly's run a handful of marathons, and this breaks my heart about Kelly. She puts her medals in a shoebox and she has them kept away. And I mean, I'll send you a picture. Mine are so proudly displayed all over my wall because I never thought I could do this. But anyway, so these three women, and they're quicker than me. Let's make no mistake. They are what I would call a true athlete. They are just tenacious and they're quick and they're just gritty, and I love them, and I can't catch them ever, but they double back for me. They're sometimes a quarter mile ahead of me, whatever, and they come back for me. But even when I'm out there running with them and I'm trying to catch them, and they give me so much inspiration because these two of them are a little bit older than me, and then Tiffany's my age, and it's like, God, these women can cycle me under the table, they can run me under the table. They are incredible athletes, and I just think, man, one day I want to be half that good, and Kelly just doesn't think it's a big deal at all that she ran all these marathons, and I'm looking at her, I'm like, do you know it's what is it, 0.1% of our population has finished a marathon?
Yeah.
That is an incredible accomplishment, and they're just so humble. She's like, yeah, it's no big deal, whatever, and I'm like, oh my God, you're a rock star. And I just look at these people, and it's so important, to surround yourself with people who lift you up and inspire you and make you want to be better, because you want to take what they're doing and say, man, I did that. Kelly did it, but I could do it too. And it's just amazing. So I'm so fortunate to have these friends that I get to run with, and they inspire me. And Tiffany ran track in high school, and she's super speedy. And we complain, we text each other every other day at 4 a.m. I hate running too. See you in an hour, and it's great for me because it keeps me going, out there just to see these people that, they have challenges just like I do. And yet they get out there and they overcome it every single time. And really running is that metaphor for life, like Bruce Van Horn says, life is a marathon. And it's so true. It's so much like running, just one foot in front of the next.
Now, my better half is a lead counselor for a high school. And we have our son is going into ninth grade this year, and you've been there, done that. And we've always told him, hey, we're going to have you watch this movie. He's just not that into you, because what you perceive is not always what is actually happening. And she's like, I think every middle schooler should watch this because middle school is such a tough age. Now, looking back, the point I'm getting is looking back, and everybody can chime in on this who's on Facebook with us right now. Looking back, what would you tell your middle school, say 7th grade, 8th grade self, 6th grade self? What would you tell them about this is what it's going to be like when you're at this age?
I would be able to tell myself, cut out all the BS and don't give yourself such a hard time so that you won't have to reverse all the damage you're about to do to your body. I would tell myself that, you think your problems are so big and you think you're the only one going through whatever situation you have. And everybody has issues. I was talking this morning with Gayla about that on the website. We all have crap. Every single one of us has a plate full of, poop that we have to eat sometime in our life. We've got,
right.
We all have stuff to deal with, right? There's not a person, even Oprah Winfrey has problems. We all have issues, but that should not stop you from being the best version of you. That is no excuse. To make yourself a victim of yourself is unacceptable in every way, shape, manner, and form. It's not okay. So what I would tell me is get over yourself and understand that you are unique just like everyone else. And get out there and be the best version of you, because one day it will be too late to undo the damage that you could do. And young people everywhere need to know that message. One day you're not going to be able to outrun that diet. You just can't do it. Sometimes you do damage that is irreversible. And at this point, I'm not trying to undo damage necessarily, but I'm trying to prolong my life and be healthy and be a good example for my kids. And I would tell myself, think about the big picture instead of woe is me, I'm in this, rut of a problem, blah, blah, blah. So is everyone else. You're not so special. That's what I would tell myself.
I love it. I love it. And one of
it's
the
hard,
movies
but-
we must watch this movie once a month, if not more than that. 13 going on 30, where she goes back in time as a 13-year-old, or she's 13 and she moves up to 30 years old. Jennifer Garner, I think it is in the movie, and she's an adult, and the girl that bullied her is actually her friend as an adult, and it goes through a whole lot of process and everything. But she realizes what the important things are as an adult. And that's what we try to stress our children is like, you know what, these drama that you're having as a child, you really do not worry about that. Probably you're not going to remember this as an adult if you're like me, or you will think, wow, that was so trivial. Why did I even listen to that? Or why did I even do that? That kind of thing. And as Charlie was saying on now, as she's saying, don't listen to them, listen to your heart. She spent way too much being a people pleaser. It made a victim being herself. Yeah, because if you are a people pleaser, you're actually turning it on yourself, I will say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so Charlie, great post on there. Of course, you got shout-outs going on. I love this. Shout-outs to some more friends of yours going out.
Well, and like I said, Royanne and Kelly, these are the ladies, along with Tiffany, these are the ladies who keep me going on my runs. Royanne hadn't run in months and months, came down to Phoenix a couple of months ago and joined us for a 10-mile run. She hadn't run in months, and man, she just not only kept up, but she was way ahead of me, and we laughed throughout the whole thing. I mean, we take walk breaks, and these are, you surround yourself with people who inspire you. And there's not one person we call it the heiferhood. There's not one person in this heiferhood that doesn't inspire me in some way. Everybody is going through their own struggle, but they've all overcome in their own way also, and they all have something valuable to share. And that's the most amazing thing about our group, is that everybody comes to this group with such different experiences, but with so much power to enlighten the rest of us as to, oh, you're going through that, been there, done that. Just like you, after your 100-mile race, you're going to bring to the table something that most people, God, I mean, how many people can say they ran 100 miles? Like less than 10,000. I don't know. I mean, you're gonna have something so valuable. And what an example you are too of somebody who's able to dig deep, because it's gonna hurt after how many miles you're gonna be a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you have to tell yourself, but what I want as my goal is worth being uncomfortable now, because the pain of success is so much better than the pain of giving up. You just. I think Muhammad Ali said that, suffer now and live every day the rest of your life as a champion. And that's what you're about to do. And talk about an inspiration. I mean, that made me kind of quit whining about running a half marathon. I thought, man, that's just a warm up for you.
I do like a half every day. But, and people were, someone just texted me and said, they saw me at a race in Oklahoma 2 weeks ago. I think I was there. And they're like, man, you look so much different. We knew you're running, but wow, your legs are just so defined now. And what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm taking salt baths. No, I'm just kidding. But my thing was I think back to when I was at that race, and you and I talked about this on a show previously, was when that guy said, when I was running through the finish line to get some water, and I was announcing the race, folks, and this was just a volunteer. Didn't have anything to do with the race. The race director immediately, came to my side and said, Mark, please don't hold this against us. But I was running through the finish line just to go in and get some water, and this lady's like, not a runner, don't give him a medal. And this guy's like, definitely not a runner. And I was like, oh, my God. It's on YouTube even. And I was like, dude, I've run 15 marathons. I've bike raced for 20 years. I've been to nationals. I've done this. I've done, all my accolades. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, you know what? I must have looked like crap. So I looked at the video and I went, am I really that big? And then I weighed myself. We went on cruise the week after. So, of course, going on cruises to Jamaica and all that doesn't count because you're supposed to gain weight. You're supposed to eat all the good food. So the day we got off, I weighed myself the next day, and I was like, that is ridiculous how much I weighed. And I told Michelle, I go, how come you didn't tell me? She's like, well, I love you. I didn't want to hurt you or anything. I'm like, no, I want you to tell me, how bad I look and all that. So the next day I went out and I couldn't even run around the block. And then it just went from there. So when I go to this race in October, the guy, hopefully he'd probably be there. And I'm like, hey, I'm a runner, by the way, but it's not a thing about him hurting me inside. It was me going, come on, Mark, you can do better than this. You are a better person than what you seem to be. And plus, I was tired of being the fat announcer because I've announced with so many people that have done that work Ironmans or they travel around the world. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm the fat announcer. I'm up here eating ho-hos and bonbons while I'm drinking a chocolate milk while I'm announcing this race, and I should be on the street doing what I love to do. So I basically just turned my life totally all the way around. I've lost 60 pounds now.
Unbelievable.
And like I said, I run 10 to 13 miles a day, and then which actually next week it goes to 15 to 20 a day.
Wow.
So yeah, and it's just and I don't take any days off. There's no Sunday I'll take the day off. No, I go run early, get it done, get the family what they want to do, and then we'll go to the pool, and the pool time is my relaxing, let my legs relax kind of thing.
I bet.
Yeah. So when we were talking about going back to middle school, what would you tell yourself? Charlie had a response on here this morning, the whole package, too weird, too loud, too original, too whatever, rather than celebrating her own uniqueness, had a high to try to fit in. And that's where a lot of the kids are. They're like, oh, I'm not wearing the right clothes. I'm not in the right sport.
Yeah.
I'm not with the right people. Oh, I'm not with orchestra. I'm not with band, that kind of thing. Be yourself. Just enjoy you is what I would like to say.
You know what? It's so true. But as kids, they don't have that self-confidence, that assuredness of them, and they want to fit in, and they don't want to be unique. They want to be just like their friends, and they want all that stuff. And I work really hard to tell my kids, I don't care what your friends are doing. And you shouldn't either. What you should care about is what you're doing, And we had, at our school, we had a Holocaust survivor come talk to us, and he talked about being an upstander, which was don't be a bystander and watch as other things happen. As all your friends watch as some other kid gets bullied or beat up in school.
Right.
Be the upstander. And this is such a good lesson in life, too. That person who makes a difference. Stand up for what you believe in and what you know is right, even if you think it's going to make you unpopular and your friends are going to abandon you. They weren't your friends anyway, but it's such a hard age. Those middle school years to up years, they're so, it's such a fragile time, and I've got 4 teenagers, so we're full of fragile times in my house right now. We get so much fragile times. And, it's so hard to teach that lesson, but it's just such an important one to always do the right thing. And, when you're out running, if you see somebody that's injured or somebody that needs help, are you just going to run by because you get a PR? No, you need to stop and help and be a decent human being.
Exactly.
And that's the best part about this running community is that, my gosh, I've seen so many people do the right thing for so many other people. It's encouraging, and it gives you, it just gives you hope in mankind, even though everything else in the world is going to hell. God, if runners could rule the world. On Twitter, my friend Mike Dillon, we always say Mike Dillon for president, and he's a runner. I'm thinking he's got to, he could do some good stuff for us,
Right.
Runners are just some of the most amazing people. And, if I feel like if our teachers were all runners, our kids would benefit so much. We have great teachers, but they need to learn, do the right thing. And it doesn't matter what your friends are doing. But, I guess that's the part about being a teenager that's, the roughest.
Yeah. And that's just one of those things like, where will you be in 5 years? On the flip side of what would you tell yourself as a child, and of course I would have told myself, cut it out, stop doing what you're doing. And here's what you'll look like when you're 50, but let's cut out the stupid stuff that you are doing, that kind of thing. But it's also, like you were saying, the running community, the walking community is so huge. I mean, I've been around this since 77. So I've seen the good side of it. I've seen the bad side of it, the terrible side of it, the tragic side of it. But it's all comes down to, as like Charlie said, it took her 50 years to learn that some people won't be able to take her. It took me 50 years to realize humanity, and we only live on one Earth. We can't go to another planet to go, okay, I don't like it here, I'm going to go over here. No, we have to be involved with each other and support each other because we only have one chance at this.
Absolutely. And as it relates to our Earth or each other, truly, I mean, when Kelly and I run together, and she sees trash, that's her thing. She's always picking up the trash,
yeah.
And we're like, God, who would litter our beautiful planet? I don't get that either. But, and it's the same thing as you run and you see other people, we run in the dark a lot of times. And so shout out to my knuckle light people. I love those knuckle lights. Man, they light up the world, and so we can see what we're running into. So in the dark, we don't really identify these people. We know that, tall man with the husky, and then we, like short lady with the German Shepherd. So if I saw these people at Target, I wouldn't know them in the daylight. But,
Right.
we make it a point. We wave. We go, good job. How you doing? Nice to see you. And so blessed to have, keyed into this community 4 years ago, and to have been able to embrace it and have it embrace me back is an even bigger honor, because everybody wants to fit in. And you want to feel accepted and loved. And man, to be a part of a community where as long as you run, you're a runner. I mean, it doesn't matter if you walk, run, skip, run, hopscotch, run, you're a runner, and people accept you as one of their own. And it's just such a blessing to be included in this great group of people, just taking care of the earth. We care about it because we're running on it every day. We don't want to trip on somebody's McDonald's cup or somebody's e-cigarette or whatever. We all have to look out for each other. So if we see a big boulder, we stop and we move it, because that's what you should do.
Right. Right.
It's such a blessing to be a part of something so much bigger than yourself. It's just, every day, there's not a day that goes by that I just don't feel so much gratitude for all of it, just all of it.
Oh, I know. I hear you. Charlie, you are awesome, Charlie, by the way. But it's just one of those things, like now on a route I have, it's a 3-mile loop that I do, and I just do it multiple times because Shelby's school's on the course and our house is on one side of it and her school's on the other side of it, so it's really easy for me to go back and forth. But I just carry a small trash bag with me, and I pick up stuff as I'm running. As I see it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go pick that up and put it in my bag as a first loop, and I'll dump it off at the house when I refill my water bottles or whatever, and just to make sure that happens, because if people, and it's one of those things, I wish people could see the future self of themselves to go, you know what, says go, oh, let's do the award ceremony. I'm like, no, we still have people out running. Well, we can do the award ceremony. No. I'm not going to leave them out there without getting their proper arrival just because they're a little bit slower than the elite people. So that's not going to happen. I'm going to be here. You can guys go do the award ceremony, but I'm going to give everybody their proper arrival and give them the cheer. Hey, we always, and there's a group of us here that run marathons, and we're slow, and in ultra marathoners we just keep going. But we have a hashtag, we party in the back, because the elite people, they don't see the course, they don't know that there's a dog or people having wine in a yard at mile 20 or whatever. They're like, oh, we went by so quick. I'm like, oh, really? You didn't see that? Oh my God. We had wine.
Yeah.
We had wine at mile 20 and talked to people and cheered them on. That was our thing. So yeah, the party in the back stuff, we just love it, and we cheer on everybody. Yeah, the elites are elite, but they wouldn't know they were fast without me. I'll say that.
Yeah, and you know what, the announcer really has such a power to make or break that you're coming down the chute and you're finishing. In Buffalo, I ran with my heifer girlfriends, and we have a policy: no heifer runs alone. And we don't leave a heifer behind either. And one of the girls got injured. Her knee started to bug her, and towards the end, it was just clear that she just needed a little bit of help. And of course, we didn't leave her. So we ended up, I think this was my slowest half marathon finish. Poor Bart had run the half, gone back to his room, showered, changed, had lunch, took a nap, and then came back, and I was still out there running. So we ended up putting her in the cop car behind, and so we jogged just slightly in front of the car, the sweeper car, and we ended up getting lost because all the cones were gone and the course was done, and so we were ultra half marathoners because we finished our 13.1 in 14 miles, and we got our money's worth. But I tell you, when we came down that finisher chute, and there was Fitz, and she was cheering for us just as much as if we were the ultra people, the super elite. You feel like a rock star, and the announcer really has that ability to make or break it for you. Because at this point you're tired. You're like, man, I've been out here 17 hours, and it's only 14 miles, and I just want to drink. And they make you feel like a rock star, even though you're thinking, man, I'm slow, and people already showered and took a nap, and I'm just out here. But the announcers have a really big part of that. So I love that you don't do that until the people come in, because that's a big part of it. I was locally at a race where we finished towards the end, and there was just like one kid left throwing medals at people, and all the water was gone, the bananas were gone, and it's like, hey, anybody know I finished? Where's my pomp and circumstance? I paid too. So
that's where you get out your phone and take your headphones off or whatever, and or someone who's there, and they plug in music and put it on the speakerphone and play your song as you finish, because we've done that before. I was announcing a race. It wasn't my PA system, and they took the PA system down, and I was like, does someone have a little boombox or something? They go, yeah. So I plugged in a wire, and we played music for the last 10 finishers because the other people didn't want to stick around. And we're like, we're sticking around. And the families were so appreciative. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe you just did that. I said, well,
yeah,
you have to understand my story, but you also have to understand that I've got friends that had heart surgery that wanted to do a 5K, and it took them 3 hours because they had to sit down and take breaks because they were getting overworked. But when they finished, there was nobody there. And I said, and I was there because I knew what they were doing. I knew why they were doing it. I go, so I will never leave. And I know a lot of announcers like this, but I know some announcers that don't do this. I will never leave someone out on the course that has not finished and they're coming to the finish line without their proper arrival. That's just me, because I've been that last person. Like, okay, where's a banana at? Oh, well, they're gone. What do you mean they're gone?
We packed up.
I'm still here.
We were so slow. The polka band even left. And we're like, God, man, even the polka guy left. The policemen in their skirts. I'm like, really? Wait, how do you even get a polka out of this?
This isn't right.
But, it was great. Fitz was still there, and Banshee made us feel like rock stars coming in, even though we just looked around like, wow, okay, this is great. We're the last ones. But, and it is so important because everybody has a story, and there is a party in the back, Not that there's not a party up in the front, but in the back, man, there is some grit, there's some determination, some blood, sweat, and tears, and there's a whole lot of fun, and people have emotional breakthroughs because running is so personal to each person, and so everybody's doing it for a different reason. And you watch this happen time and time again, where people realize, I didn't think I could do half this. And look what my body just did. I mean, I'm one of those people. Every day I'm just amazed as the next guy that I can do any of this, like, whoa. Because so many people tell me, like, oh, you don't look like a runner. I'm like, well, what does a runner look like? Because if you recall, I think I told you the story about this woman kissed my sass at my first half marathon, the Phoenix, a couple years ago. She had to weigh 400 pounds, and I was very cocky and rude in my mind, and I was like, I'll beat her, no problem. Man, she smoked me by probably, 30 to 60 minutes. Kissed my sass, kicked my butt is what she did. And what does a runner look like? It looks like someone who runs, and it doesn't matter what your body shape is. If you can put one foot in front of the other, you can get there. Just like life, it's so true.
I love it. Charlie talking about her first 5K was a night race. I can't even remember my first 5K. That's how bad it is. But it's just one of those things, folks. When and you're listening to Melissa and I, but you are part of this family. You are part of this Run Heifer Run amazing organization. If you're not, go on runnerheiferrun.com and join the group. Go on Facebook, find out what's going on. And there's no negativity, no disparaging remarks, no disrespect will ever be given, because if there is, believe me, the group and the movement will take care of who's making you feel bad, because that's not what There's a heifer in your area that will go walk that track with you. I'll tell you that right now. If there's not, let us know. We may be coming to the area, and we'll walk that track with you because we want you to be a healthier you, to be a better you, and to be a happier you inside and outside.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. I am very, very quick to delete anybody and block any negativity because we don't need people body shaming or anything. A lot of these people here, we have our own shame that we're dealing with. We have a lifetime of issues that these people are overcoming. I'm overcoming. We are all overcoming something.
What's that saying? Not to cut you off. What's that saying? There's nothing you can tell me that I haven't told myself already.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, who's got time for negativity? We fill ourselves up with so much negativity every single day with our thoughts, or people. I wrote an article recently just about, looking in the mirror and still seeing that fat girl, like I don't want to look in the mirror because I'm afraid I'm still, I'm still seeing what was and not what is. And we ain't got time for that. You know what? Not anybody needs to hear that. So we have a very strict, we just don't let people in that are Debbie Downers. We are all about encouraging. And my God, we have 7-time Ironman finishers in our group. And we have people who can't walk 5 feet yet without getting out of breath. And that's okay because we are all in this together and we are all encouraging each other. And everybody struggles. And you think an Ironman doesn't struggle, you're wrong. They just have mastered their struggle a little bit better than we have so far. And that's okay. One of the guys, I call him Epnu, but his name's Eric. He's my favorite Frenchman. He's in the group, and he barely trains. He ran this marathon with a bad knee in Buffalo. Didn't train for it, and he still finished before me. But whatever. We have every single type of person from skill level and ability level, and it doesn't matter because we are all encouraging each other and we're learning from each other. I learned stuff from these guys every single day. It's such an incredible group, and it's a lot of fun.
I can't wait to see what Charlie's question is tomorrow.
Yes, she does some really good questions too. So
I'm telling you,
we appreciate those.
Well,
yeah,
we appreciate you calling in. The hour has gone by. It always goes by quick with you and I. And again, folks, you'll be able to hear this every month. Run Heifer Runs Hour. If you've got something special coming up in your neck of the woods that you're like, hey, I want everybody to know, obviously you can post it on Facebook. But as Melissa and I have discussed, you're more than welcome on our next show. Message us, and I'll give you the number to call in, and you can join us on air. We had yourself and Jason and Clinton. Yeah. We had 3 people on from different parts of the country at the same time. Yeah. So it was just amazing to have that kind of discussion. And folks, if you're looking at the link on Run Heifer Run, it'll go to the I Speak For You Spreaker page, and you can go back and you can look at that show we did a couple weeks ago. I think it was like a month ago, maybe. But yeah, it was just a great time. And again, I would love to, and I know Melissa would love to have you on air, talk about your story and encouraging folks, because you are encouraging people that you may not even know, that you may not even see, that someone may be behind the tree at the finish line going, I don't want anybody to see me because I'm too embarrassed. But they see you come in and they're like, oh, I can do that. Yes, you can do that. So we want everybody to get out and just have fun.
Yeah, and you don't know. I posted this yesterday in Colin and Jason's group, and I said, you don't know who you are inspiring. Yeah. I wore that shirt that says inspire, and you just don't know. Somebody is watching you all the time, whether you realize it or not. And if you tell me they're not, I will tell you you're a liar. You don't realize it, but they are watching you, whether it's your children, your neighbors, the guy who drives by every day and sees you out there running, sees you sweating, struggling, whatever. You are inspiring somebody, and people watch what you do. So why not get out there and make a difference? It's a big obligation that we have to each other and to society, and somebody is watching and people are always paying attention. So get out there, make the first move. That's all it takes is just, to start.
I'm telling you. Well, thanks for calling in, my friend.
Oh, always a pleasure. Thank you for having me. And
yes.
One day I'll make it to one of your races, and we'll have some fun.
Oh, I'm telling you, I have so much travel coming up. I mean, we were going to go camping, and we had to cancel it because I had a race pop up, and then the family we were going with, they're going to Europe. So they said, well, how long do we have to plan out? And I'm like, till next year. What do you mean next year? And I was like, I'm already planning out next year. I've got so many races coming up that it has to happen. That it's a year out. It's crazy.
Wow. Well, that's great, though. Good things for sure.
Yep. So, everybody, thanks for listening. Charlie, can't wait to see your question. Of course, I'd love to meet everybody in person, and we'll get it all together once. And and everybody come in at the same time and have a good time. But again, runheiferrun.com is the website to go to. Check it out. Read the blogs. Thanks for calling me fat, and we'll be on soon.
Can't wait to do it. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Melissa. You have a good day.
All right, take care. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And of course, everybody, don't forget to make sure you hydrate. We want to make sure everybody keeps that hydration. Drink that water, those electrolytes. Make sure you make yourself feel better. It's Mark with iSpeakForYou.net. If you'd like to get a hold of me, it's info@iSpeakForYou.net is the email, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks. Have a great weekend. God bless. Take care. Make sure you hydrate.